Welcome to my next DIY bike project. My name is Jonas, and just before we start, this is going to be a still picture production with material from before I started to film this, so just bear with me and we will soon switch to film material. So I've had my aluminum commuter bike now for a while, and it's a Scott Speedster 30 disc from 2015, and it's been with me for a lot of hard riding in the Swedish winter with lots of salt, wet, snow and dirt. So I decided to give it a good top to bottom renovation, and since I already have a road bike and I would soon start to build another one, I thought I would build this one into a nice gravel bike. Now before I began, I got some aluminum tubes to do some testing on for both colors, technique, masking and so on. And now if you're a DIYer and this is your first time spraying a bike, I really recommend you to get some tubes for practice. I learned so much and made so many mistakes from that I hopefully don't have to do on the actual bike. Especially aluminum is a very tough material to paint as an amateur because it oxidizes and it becomes an ultra thin layer of oxidized aluminum on the surface, making it nearly impossible to get the primer to stick properly. You also get to test your colors, combinations and how you will mask them to get a nice color scheme. So just do tests, that's highly recommended. Components of the bike, then I was going to remove the paint. There are many ideas on how to do it. The hardcore school says that you should probably not use anything but sandpaper, wet sandpaper, and media blasting. However, since this is an aluminum bike, I decided to take a few shortcuts. So I decided to go with my angle grinder. I equipped it with a flap disc, such as this one, and there are many types of it. So before you start going into exactly what you're gonna use, do testing again. I can't stress that enough. It comes in many different types. This is more like a 60K grit sandpaper, while these are more like Scotch sponges. This one is a little bit rougher, and this one is the finest one. This is the one I used in the end. And this is more for like steel rods, removing rust and everything. This one will completely tear down the aluminum surface, so really do test. I also tried an nylon brush with my screwdriver. It's okay, it's not very effective, but it's quite gentle, so if you are afraid of using the angle grinder, go with this one. It's going to take a little bit more time, but it's good enough. That's pretty much how I decided to go with the larger surfaces of the bike. As I said, again, do test. It's worth it. Now for the angles, corners and around the welds and so on, you won't reach with a flap disc. So here I went with a paint stripper. I did some research because some paint strippers are horrible chemicals and others will just not work. I chose Rust-Oleum No. 1 green. This one is in gel form. I gave it a couple of rounds and I got it painted off really nicely. The fork, however, is made out of carbon, and here it's sanding only. Using the flap disc here will tear down the carbon, and using the paint stripper might affect the plastic and the epoxy in the carbon. So no sheeting on the carbon. With all the paint removed, I wiped off the entire frame to remove any residue from the paint stripper. I then sanded down the whole frame in 2 turns with 400 grit and finally 600 grit wet sandpaper. I got very satisfied with the result, and in my next video I will do the final preparations before spraying the primer and the paint, and that will be all videos, so don't miss out. If you like this video, give it a good thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comment section below. Cheers!